welcome to this webinar that's focused on the new features in Dualog Mail, and we'll also touch a little bit on some updates to cybersecurity regulations. My name is Mikael Johannessen. I'm the product manager for the email services in Dualog, and with me here I have Geir Inge Jensen, who's our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, and also sitting in some ISO committees. I should have written down on my cheat sheet here what those committees are, but could you maybe fill us in on that, Geir Inge?
Yes, thank you, Mikael, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm also a national expert within TC8, the Technical Committee 8, which handles all standards within ships and marine technology.
Okay, so you're quite well versed in this. For everyone joining, there's a chat on the right-hand side. Please keep in mind it's not anonymous, so your name will be shown there. So if you have any questions along the way, just ask your questions. We might answer some along the way, or we'll also have a Q&A session at the end of this. For the agenda, we'll talk a little bit about the new features in Dualog Mail, where we talk about the features where you can give your crew an identity now in Dualog Mail, how you can give your crew an email account in Dualog Mail, and also we'll touch on how we will now solve password sharing on board vessels and auditing everything happening on board the vessel in the email system. But before we jump into that, together with Geir Inge, we'll touch a little bit on why we are adding these features to Dualog Mail. So with that, I think I'll hand it over to you, Geir Inge, to start taking us through that.
Thank you. Well, we usually talk about the delivery and content of the email, worrying about phishing and other malicious attachments, which do demand a proper email filtering solution in place, which we also have. But this time, I would like to focus on the mail account itself. And Mikael, you are a clever guy. Can you mention one reason why the security of the account is so important?
I guess in general, if I remember the numbers correctly, over 90% of all phishing attacks are coming through email. But when it comes to the account security, I guess if I have access to your email account, then that's sort of a gateway to many other systems.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Having access to the email account itself, that's mainly the hitting the jackpot for the hacker. You have the whole digital life of that person within that email, because you could be a very good guy with security and have different passwords on very many different systems, which you should have. The problem with that, if you have 10, 20, 30 different sites out there, you have a lot of passwords to remember. And if you forget one of those passwords, how do you reset that password?
With your email.
Yes, with your email. You ask for a reset email link, and you get that through the email. So having access to the email account, you can pretty much get access to all the digital accounts they have out in the world. And that is one reason. I would also like to mention that more importantly for the shipping is that having access, for instance, to the captain's email, that is a goldmine for creating good, very, very good phishing emails. You can read all his correspondence with the company or vendors or ports or whatever, and then you can create very good-looking phishing emails and acting on behalf of that captain. So that is a really good bad thing.
So not only do you have the recipients to send emails to, you can also use the same tone of voice as the captain. You can address the actual names of the people that the captain is talking to, basically.
Yes, correct. And you can reference other items already been talking about with that person because you have the history. Or the third aspect is that you could use that the knowledge you get to blackmail either the company or that person, or maybe he's having an affair or whatever, who knows. But blackmailing is also happening. So the security of the account is really important. But I also like to talk about the identity. When we're talking about mail accounts, we are talking about identity because your email address is usually what you use as your identity online. That is what defines you. You log in with your email address, and all these big hacks we have heard about out there, they all came from pool password policy on your email account. For instance, Maersk. You have all heard about Maersk. The hacker got access to the credential of a supplier providing software for a completely different system, nothing to do with maritime. But it was a stolen credential. They knew the username and the password, and he got access and could change the software. The same with Colonial Pipeline, the biggest hack on the west coast of the US. They are the biggest oil delivery agent. And just a one single leaked password from one user, one employee, stopped the whole delivery of petroleum on the west coast, which is a big deal. Even the SolarWinds, maybe the biggest breach ever known, was due to, or the hacking group doing that was known to use password spraying, some sort of password guessing, just to get access to that. So password policy is really important. And then we need to talk about what is a pool password policy. And let me show you, start some slides here. We use the same password on several systems. And that's what's really most commonly happening, because you have all these different systems you need to log into, and you don't want to go around remembering all these different passwords. So if you have, for instance, you're using your credentials on a local football fan club, they might not have the best security on password policy or password, how they store the password or something. So if they get hacked, the hacker knows your username and password for that system. And then they can start guessing what other systems do you have access to. They don't have to guess a password. They know that. They can just guess on the systems you have access to. And if you use the same password, they have access. And that's where, for instance, technology like single sign-on would help, because without single sign-on, you just log in one place and you use that access, that token, to get access to different systems. So if that local football club did have support single sign-on, they don't need to have your password. So if they got breached, no big deal. Your password is safe. Also, what we see is using shared accounts. In shipping world, we are talking about, for instance, role-based accounts. And that means several people will know this password. And for that reason, it is usually weak. If it's a weak password, it is guessable, or it is already leaked online. You could share the password with colleagues. That is also something we see within the shipping world, especially within the crew, just to share the quota. When you're not on hire on that vessel anymore, you share that. You don't care about your quota because you're not on the vessel. You can share that account. Then you share your password. And then you have the use of a well-known password. I think there are over 15 billion known passwords already leaked online. So by using that list, they start from the top, which I guess I think the top most password used is password. And start with just guessing with using those passwords. And for a computer, it's really fast to run through 15 billion passwords. They don't have to brute force and guess every possible combination on your keyboard. And that is known as password spraying. And one thing is that people also tend to not use the multi-factor authentication, even if it is available, because then the hacker cannot access your account, even if you have the password available. If you look at what's happening within the shipping world on the standardization and the rules, just briefly run through that. IACS, International Association of Classification Societies, they are the parent company organizing all these different class societies. They set out minimum requirements. So you have to follow those requirements, but you could also make more stringent rules. And lately we have these unified requirements E26 and E27, which we all have heard about. Let me see here, which happens to also mention these credentials. Human user identification and authentication, you should be able to authenticate human users. Now this is for new builds, so you don't have to follow them on old vessels. And also it's more related to OT or system facing OT. But IMO, which had these guidelines on maritime cyber risk management, which are usually just guidelines. You're not mandated to follow them, but you should follow them. They have this update on this last April, just 1 month ago. And these new guidelines, they say that you should assign unique credentials for all users, separate user and privileged accounts, and deactivate accounts for departing employees or users. So when the crew leaves a vessel, you should deactivate the account automatically. And also, they also mention here, you should use multi-factor authentication, especially when you're accessing remotely. So these rules are guidelines, not rules. What's happening next is that the ISCS will look at this and figure out, oh, maybe you should update the recommendations for the cloud societies, and they will create some new rules or new requirements, and then the cloud societies will follow that, which ends up in being a mandatory part. So this is just a start.
So to try to summarize that, what we're basically seeing is that the trend is going towards more cybersecurity for account access. And at the same time, to my knowledge, there are very few shipping companies that have good password policies for their email accounts on board. For the vast amount of ships that I've been on board and that I've been helping, I know that they use easy to guess passwords that are usually the same across the ships, because there is no good way to handle the passwords when you have people sharing accounts, you have a captain changing every few months, etc.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct.
So that takes us to the next part, where we dive a little bit more into the product itself. And how are we working on solving this? So let me find the correct slide here. We have, on my team, we've been focusing on the last year or so on addressing these things that Geir just brought up. We think that this is an issue that needs to be solved, but it's not easy to solve it. So we have tried to create a solution for it. And the first thing the key and I will notice is that we have gone from talking about Dualog Business Mail to now talking about Dualog Mail. And this is sort of the new name we have for the product to signal this new, call it a new direction, or these new features that we're adding to the product. So the key things that we are doing now with Dualog Mail is that we are offering an identity to all your crew. They're protected by multi-factor authentication. We allow you to give your crew a personal email account, so a business email account, just like I have my Dualog email account. You can give your crew a secure email account that you can be sure that is secured and you can send information to and take away their access to that account when they leave the company. We are adding full traceability of what's going on board. I will touch more on that. Same with role-based access control on board. And we are also now integrating with crew management systems to make this easy to handle. Because if you have hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of accounts, that can very quickly become a nightmare for an IT department to handle. So now in Dualog Mail, we have both a concept of role-based accounts. This is what's traditionally been in Dualog Business Mail, where you have the captain's account, chief engineer, cook, etc. But now we're also adding the concept of individual accounts, meaning that in this instance, Jay Adams has his own email account in the system. So you can use that account to send emails to them. You can both add it just as an identity or also give them access to that email account. Some shipping companies want to avoid giving them an email account, and then they can simply use this as an identity and not an email account. And with this email account, we have this concept that we call a personal login. So the idea here is that people, rather than logging directly into a role-based account, they first log into their personal account with their personal credentials. Then, based on the movement of the crew, they are currently on board this vessel and their rank. So they are, for instance, the captain, like they have the rank of captain. Then they are granted access to the role-based accounts that you are giving them access to. So when I go on board as a captain on the vessel Acme Hunter, for instance, I log into the Dualog system, then I'm presented all the email accounts that I have access to. And also, as a last step here, we write full traceability. So we audit everything happening now. So we can audit that I log into the captain's account, I sent that email, I deleted that folder, I deleted that email, I read that email, I moved that email into that folder, etc., etc. And my last slide here before we go into a demonstration is to achieve this, we are also focused a lot on the import of users. So mainly, we recommend our customers to integrate directly with the crew management system, and then we pull information about all the crew and their movements. So we know that this person is currently on board this vessel and has this rank. So that means, based on your configuration, they have access to these role-based email accounts. And with this system, we have sort of three levels of strictness, if you will. So the first level is everything is running as it is today on your ships. You update to this latest version, you do nothing, and then everything will be as before. Your crew will log directly into the shared accounts or the role-based accounts. They log directly into the captain's account with the captain's password. The next level, level 2 of this, is that you both offer direct login into role-based accounts, but also offer logging in with personal credentials. This is typically if you want to first offer that as an alternative, so they don't have to remember the passwords for different accounts. Then you can become a little bit stricter, speaking from an IT perspective, by not sharing the direct login password. So you keep that as sort of an IT secret, so that you sort of train the crew to log in with their personal credentials. And the third level, the strictest level, is where you block direct login to role-based accounts. They have to log in with their personal credentials. And at this level, you get full traceability of who did what, who sent what, because you always have to authenticate with your personal credentials to get into the system. And with that, let me stop sharing that and let me share my screen. Yes, I want to start sharing. Here we go. So this is the Dualog portal. I assume most people watching this are already familiar with the portal. This will not be a sort of a demonstration on how to set this up, but I will just quickly show you a few of the key things about this this feature. So first of all, the way I have set this up in this test company is that I'm using this test user called Mikael MFA. You can see here that it has the rank of captain. I apologize if the sharing is a little bit blurry. People told me while we tested this that the sharing ended up a little bit blurry. So this crew account has the rank of captain. And if I go and look at the ship accounts for my ship, if I, for instance, look at the master account here, we can see that I have assigned the rank of captain to this account, meaning anyone currently on board a vessel possessing the rank of captain can now access this account. I could add, for instance, the chief steward as an example. And now if the chief steward was to log in on board, they would be able to access the captain's account. of course, I don't want that, so I'm not going to save that. The other part, before I show you the login, I just wanted to show you what we call the user activity tab here. So here, by default, it's turned off, but you can turn on auditing of user activity on board. So I have this enabled for my test ship. Currently, we show this in a dashboard. It's based on OpenSearch, so it's quite powerful for you to dig into. And we plan on expanding this once we sort of see the good use cases for this and making it as easy as possible to use. But basically, in this dashboard, you can see that I, with my test user, logged into the chief officer account yesterday. I logged into the second engineer. I logged a few times into the master account. There are some failed logins into directly into the master account. We can see that someone tried to log in directly to the master account and got said that the direct login is disabled. Someone tried to log into my crew account 5 times, but used an invalid password. We can see, as an example here, that I, with my crew account, acted as the master account and sent a test email out from the ship. So we have full traceability of everything. And going further down here, where you would see that someone created a folder, someone did this, someone did that. So the last thing I just want to show is that, so now I'm showing the login page on board the vessel. So if I here try to log in directly to the master account, so now I have set it up to the strictest level. You have to log in with a personal account. So when I try to log in with directly to the master account, I'm presented with a message saying that direct login is disabled. So if I then try to rather log in with my crew account, first I register my sign-on. If you're connected to the crew management system, then that will be automated. And then I'm presented with all the role-based accounts that I have access to based on my rank and the fact that I'm on board the vessel. So here I can, as an example, click on the master account, and now I'm logged into the master account as if I log directly into the master account. And then I can go to the webmail in here, etc., etc. And now this would also then be replicated to shore, showing that I now signed into this account, and you will be able to see it in the audit dashboard. So this is very quickly the new features in the new version of the Dualog Mail program. So let me stop sharing my screen. So with that, I guess we will go over to a Q&A session. And also, I think someone from our marketing team will put up a button you can click if you want to have a 30-minute session with one of our experts on how this could work on your ships. So it's difficult for me to demo exactly how to set this up because shipping companies have such different setups. So click that button. Let's set aside 30 minutes, and we can show you how to set it up for you, how you could plan a setup, and how you could also import your crew based on how that is set up.
But Mikael, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Before we start, do we support SSO?
We will come with more information on that in the coming weeks. So that's yes, soon. So the idea is we'll support logging into any third-party system, both on board the vessel and in the cloud, which will be an exciting new feature. So we have one question here. If I mark it is a question and answer live, and it says, it's like accessing shared mailbox with delegated access, simply said. Yes, exactly. So the magic here is that we're doing this delegation based on the crew movement and their ranks, which is quite unique. So you can sort of at scale do this quite well because your crew management system has all this information in it. We handle that information, like their movement and their ranks, and you have set up all the role-based accounts with what ranks are allowed to log in. So all of this sort of gets automated, and Your crew just have to remember their own passwords. And there's another question here. Can you say something about how the integration with crewing systems work? What is the pros and cons? So we have multiple ways of integrating. What we recommend our customers to do is to do a direct integration with the crew management system. There's a follow-up question here, what systems we currently support. We support Compass, Adonis, a system called Unicy, and a few others. Also Workato, which is this sort of data warehouse system. And we're actively working with customers when they come with a crew management system we don't support, we add support for that. So we're already working with a few others. We also have an API to integrate with, if you prefer that, which is based on the SCIM standard, so Sierra Charlie India Mike SCIM. You can then sort of send a SCIM payload to us with the crew details, and it populates in our system. We also have CSV import, and of course the good old-fashioned way of just manually doing it. But if you have hundreds or thousands of crew, you probably don't want to manually do it. Let's see this next question. Can the login work in a hybrid setup, meaning both local ranks login, for instance, master and personal accounts? Let's see if I understand that question. In a hybrid setup. Do you mean that you can both log directly into the master account and the personal account? If you could please elaborate a little bit on that, then I will answer the next question while we wait. Can you share more about multi-factor authentication and how this crew will perform to authenticate? Yes. So right now we are supporting, we support SMS and WhatsApp as the two methods of MFA. We are about to release, I'm guessing today or tomorrow, the option of using authenticator apps, which then works really well offline if the vessel has no internet connectivity. And then we are also looking at adding other options as well going forward, so making it as easy as possible for the crew. What do I need to use? What do I need to do to use the integration? Yes, so if you want to integrate the crew management system, just reach out to our customer success team or click the book a demo button, and we'll go through how to set that up. So it's a little bit custom per customer based on like how do you want to disable the users based on information from your crewing system. Do you want to disable them? Do you want to delete them? At what point do you want to delete them, etc.? And what kind of naming scheme do you want, and so on. So just click the button shown on the screen here where it says book a demo, and we can go through all those details. So next question, current version of Dualog support this new feature, or new version needs to be procured? The current version, the 5.08 version that's currently available, supports this feature. There is one note here that the multi-factor authentication is not on board the vessel just yet. So that's coming in a version soon. There is multi-factor authentication in the cloud side where the crew can access their email through the crew.dualog.com portal or via the Dualog Mail app that you can find in the App Store. But on board the vessel, we're still working on adding the multi-factor authentication, and we will do the authenticator app-based mainly on board, since you don't want a method that relies on either internet connectivity or phone coverage. So here's okay, so clarifying the previous question, if the local login credentials for master will still be available to log in, or only the personal login will be needed to log into master account? Yeah, so this is where you have sort of 3 levels of strictness. So as I mentioned earlier, level 1 is that you have the normal way of logging directly into the master account. Level 2 is where you offer both a direct login into the master account or by a personal account, where you can sort of play around with like how willing are you to share the password with the direct login to the crew. And the third level, the strictest level, is where you enforce it to log in with personal accounts. So when you sort of you're sure all your crew has their own users, they know how to use it, etc. That's when you sort of disable the option of logging directly into the master's account. So we're trying to be as flexible with this as we could, because we know it's not easy to do the full switch on day one, kind of. There's a question on, will you support hardware keys like FIDO or smart card? I guess if you ask Inge here, he will say yes, absolutely, please do that. And that is something that we are looking into. I think that is sort of the that and biometric or what's it called? Yeah, is sort of the best level of multi-factor authentication, and that is something that we are looking into getting. We actually have a working version of a FIDO integration. We just haven't sort of gotten it out yet. We might need to rewrite it. I think I have ran through all the questions here now. Just try to quickly answer them since we are a little bit over time. If anyone has any more questions, quickly click in write it in the chat, or click that book a demo thing and set aside 30 minutes to go through this. Or if you have any sort of more detailed questions, we will happily have a call on that. This last question coming in here. Is it going to be Windows-based? Any compatible version will be available for Mac and Android. So as usual, the Dualog mail system is running on Windows on board the vessel. For the crew's personal email accounts, they go to either crew.dualog.com, where they'll have a webmail, just like you have, for instance, in Gmail, or they can download the Dualog mail app on their smartphones or tablets. And if they have a Mac, I guess they can also install it on the Mac technically. So the system is sort of the cruise side is cloud-based, and then everything else is sort of running on the connection suite on board a vessel that you are probably familiar with. Yes. Any last words, Inge, before we end off?
Oh, no, I think this is a really great direction for the mail product, not only protecting the content, but also the account itself. It's a huge step forward in ship security.
I completely agree. I don't expect all shipping companies to sort of jump on this in day one. It's a little bit of work to sort of get this set up, but I do recommend that you at least start thinking about how to implement something like this, and don't look at this as sort of a 2-day thing where you by the end of the week you have this up and running, but more of like okay, over the next 2 to 3 months, how can we sort of start thinking about how to get control over the logins? And as Inge showed earlier, we do expect this to become a requirement over the next few years. Now that IMO is sort of putting it in their guidelines, and as Inge mentioned, that will sort of trickle down and become requirements at the end of the day. All right, and with that, I want to thank you all for joining. Click that book a demo button if you have any more questions, or would like to see how this works for your company. And for the ones going to no shipping, come say hi next week. Thank you all.